Everybody, Andrew Cuneo here. March of the Machines has just come out on Arena, and I wanted to try building a new standard deck. There's a card from March of the Machines called, I think it's Invasion of Tarkir. Here we go. So when it enters the battlefield, you reveal any number of dragon cards, and you do 2 plus the number of dragons revealed to any other target, or X is the number of cards revealed. And so this is a removal spell that goes in a dragon deck, obviously. And then if you attack the battle, you get a 4/4 flyer that whenever a dragon you control attacks, it deals 2 damage to any target, which that's a real card. So I wanted to try to build a deck based around this card. I think it's one of the more interesting cards in the new set. I haven't really figured out what the rest of the cards that I'm going to play with are going to be, but I figured I would go through the process of constructing my deck. So we're going to start out by looking at the dragons and see what we find. What's this guy? This is a new dragon. Yeah, we're not going to play that one. That's just a draft common. So AO is interesting in that when AO dies, you get to put up to 4 mana worth of cards, 4 mana worth of permanents from the top 7 onto the battlefield, non-land. So you could conceivably, if you hit 2 copies of Invasion of Tarkir, you could get 2 of those and, deal 4 plus damage. While that's interesting, it's a little bit awkward because if you don't hit 2 Invasion of Tarkirs, you're gonna, Invasion of Tarkir is a 2 mana permanent, so you need another 2 mana permanent. And I don't think there's going to be that many other 2 mana permanents that are going to make sense in the deck. So that's a synergy to keep in mind, but maybe not the best one. What about this thing? Kairi. I've just come off of playing a bunch of Cube, where this was a pretty good card in the Cube. So when this dies, you mill 6 cards and you return up to 2 instants or sorceries from your graveyard to your hand. So that does not work with Invasion of Tarkir. Return non-land permanents with total mana value 6 or less to their owner's hand. So you could, if this dies, you could bounce a bunch of your Invasion of Tarkirs. That's kind of interesting. Like, that's some real value. I don't know that it's worth putting this 6-drop in your deck, but this card's really not that bad. Maybe we'd play with that. Junji, I think the problem with this one is that the ability that puts non-dragon creature cards from your graveyard onto the battlefield, I think we're going to want our deck to mostly be dragons. So that ability might only come up if we're playing against an opponent who's playing non-dragons, and maybe we'd prefer not to rely on that. Goro is not a dragon, it just makes dragons, so we're not going to be into that. Smoldering Egg. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, sadly the battle doesn't count, so I don't think Smoldering Egg is necessarily going to make sense in this deck. That's too bad. Smoldering Egg's a pretty good card. Phyrexian Dragon Engine. This is a dragon, but I think that this deck's going to have a bunch of stuff at like 4 and 5 mana on the curve, so it's not going to be that good at dumping its hand out. It's probably not. Atsushi, this is certainly serviceable. I think this card plays pretty well in a standard format where people are playing a lot of black removal spells and mid-range decks, because the black decks don't tend to have a lot of removal that exiles, so you do get the value from the death trigger, which is pretty nice. Dragon Whelp, sadly, does not make the cut. Manaform Hellkite. So this card's interesting, because it says whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you get this XX red dragon illusion creature token with haste. And so the battle does work with that. And the other thing that always held this card back was you would sometimes get random dragons that could attack for a little bit of damage here or there, but they never advanced your board. But if you're using the illusion dragons to defeat a battle, so you get the backside, that's a lot of value. So I think this is another one that's pretty good to consider. Moonveil Regent. it's kind of the same thing as the Phyrexian Dragon Engine. I don't know that this card works okay if it's at the top of your curve, and I don't think in a dedicated dragon deck this would be the top of the curve, so maybe not. I do really like the Elder Dragon War. It does not count as a dragon for Invasion of Tarkir. Still might have a place as a sideboard card. I don't think in standard the first chapter effect on this is that great. There was a time in the previous standard when the white-green infect deck had just come out where I thought that this was a really good way to fight the white-green infect deck because the first chapter is great against what that deck was doing. Dragon Wing Glider. So this doesn't count as a dragon in your hand and just isn't that good of a card. We'll skip that one. What's this thing? Some sort of artifact dragon lord? No. Capricious Hellraiser's a little bit interesting because it's a pretty powerful card, and you can cast Invasion of Tarkir from your graveyard, but you got to wonder how is it getting to your graveyard, and if your deck is, you want to put this in a deck with not many creatures, so then Invasion of Tarkir is not going to be that good. It's probably not. Is this a new dragon? No, this is... I don't know what set this is from, but it's not particularly good. This thing is actually kind of okay. It's maybe not quite good enough, but it's really not that bad. And one thing that I'm keeping in mind is I think I'm going to want to play Fable of the Mirror Breaker in my deck. So it would be nice to have some juicy targets to clone, and this would count as a juicy target. Shivan Branch Burner. No. Shivan Devastator. This is fine. I mean, it gives us potentially an early play. It's a serviceable card for sure. This is not a dragon in your hand. The Dragon Kami Reborn. I don't know what this card is. It's a lot of words. I'm going to guess that's not good. Kara, no. Hidetsugu and Kairi. Draw 3 cards, then put 2 cards from your hand on top of your library in any order. When it dies, exile the top card. Opponent loses life equal to its mana value. If it's an instant or sorcery card, you may cast it without playing its mana cost. That's kind of interesting, although this wants to be in a deck that has lots of instants and sorceries, and we want to be a deck that plays dragons and Invasion of Tarkir. So maybe not. A 3-mana dragon. Add 2 mana in any combination of colors. Spend this mana to only cast dragon creature spells. Once during each of your turns, you can cast a dragon creature spell from your graveyard. This guy is, like, not the worst. For sure. Is this thing a dragon? No. It showed up because it says Phyrexian Dragon Engine in its text. Zeatora is kind of interesting. And you can throw your creatures at the battles, right? So you could trigger Invasion of Tarkir by sacking a 5-power creature. That seems like it would rarely be a good play, though. This card's really good if you have treasure synergies, but I forget the name of the 2-drop that you could sack treasures to go and get dragons. That card is rotated out of standard, sadly. Rith? Yeah, I don't think so. Alright, here's another new dragon that I thought might be interesting. It has hexproof as long as it entered the battlefield this turn. 4/4 flying haste. Whenever one or more dragons you control deal combat damage to a player, look at the top 3 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. You may return one of those dragons to its owner's hand. Oh, so like if you want this thing to continue to have hexproof, you can bounce it back to your hand. I don't know why else you would want to be returning your dragons to your hand. I guess if you have a flipped Invasion of Tarkir and you want it as a removal spell again, you could do that. This seems like a pretty good card. We're going to try this one, which I think means probably no on Revise of the Claw. Although this helps you cast dragons of any color. So this is actually... Oh, this doesn't count as a dragon, though. Yeah, I was mildly excited about this one. I thought it was a dragon, but it's a Viashino Warlock. So, yeah, we're going to say no to that one. So, this dragon I liked. I think... I'm just going to try Manaform Hellkites. Like, Zurgos. I would like more than 7 dragons in my deck. You can play an Atsushi. I guess 2 Shivan Devastators. The problem with Shivan Devastators, I think it's just not good enough. If you want to be doing like counter synergy stuff, or being a really low to the ground deck, so that, you know, if you're happy to play this for X's 4 because your opponent's almost dead by the time you're doing it. So like a 4-power Flying Haste is appealing there. Oh, and I'll try Kairi too. So we're up to 9, 13, 14, 16 dragons. That's a good number of dragons. I don't know that we needed that many, and this is a lot of expensive cards. So we're going to have to fill the deck out with cheaper cards, which one of the cards I said I wanted to play is Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Another problem with Shivan Devastator is it's not a good target to copy with Fable of the Mirror Breaker. So this deck, we're really just copying Manaform Hellkite, or the Goblin token if it's still around, or I think the backside of this is not legendary. So if you get to the point where you have one of these that's ready to attack, and you have a Kiki Chiki and you clone this, you'll probably win the game. All right, so this is decent assortment of creatures. I'll probably want to play 26 or 27 lands. And right now, this is my only thing that costs white mana. So I'm going to fill out my deck with cheaper spells, and ideally I would play very few or no things that use white mana. Because I think then if I do that, I can play maybe some good dragon fixing lands. I still might want to play one Eiganjo. Let's only look at the rare and mythic lands. Probably going to want to play an Otawara. Not excited by Sokenzan's ability, but I think it's obviously going to make the deck. Then I'd have my option of like Deserted Beach, or Seachrome Coast, or a Darkar Wastes. And then we're going to play a lot of Shivan Reefs. Stormcarved Coasts. There's no fast land in red-blue. Sadly, there's no tri-land in this color combination. And then I've got Sundown Pass, Battlefield Forge. So we don't get a tri-land. Do we get any good colorless lands? Mirex is, I guess, something. Plaza of Heroes. It's maybe a little bit interesting. If this is my only white card, this is certainly an upgrade of a Plains over Plains. It also can give me double blue from Kairi, so that's pretty good. I thought there was a land, maybe it's an uncommon, that you can just name a creature type. It's legal and standard. Yeah, here we go. Secluded Courtyard. I generally hate these kind of lands, but it's going to be better than a Plains in the stack, assuming that I'm not trying to cast actual white cards that aren't dragons, which is maybe a good assumption. So let's try that. But of course, my account has been contaminated with a card style that I must get rid of. I think this is going to be better than Plaza of Harmonies just because I'm playing a double red dragon that Plaza of Harmony can't cast. Probably want to play... Well, I want to play at least one basic land, which is going to be a mountain, almost definitely. I might want to play an island as well. Sometimes it's good to play two basics if you play against that, like a mono white deck that has 8 Field of Ruins in their deck. I would probably, honestly, in this deck, I think I would play a mountain as my second basic land over Sokenzan, just because I don't think Sokenzan's going to do very much for me most of the time. And if you play against the people that are playing 6 to 8 Field of Ruins, that having the second basic land in your deck is a pretty big deal, because it really slows them down before they get to the point where they're actually hindering your ability to make mana. So let's try to get to 27 lands. What are the obvious 4-ofs? Stormcarved Coast, Shivan Reef are obvious 4-ofs. Let's maybe try for Secluded Courtyards to start. Depending on what happens with the rest of the spells in the sideboard, I might want to change that. I think if most of my mana, if a lot of my white sources are Secluded Courtyards, I'm not going to play Eiganjo. Ideally, I would get to, I don't know, 14 white sources. Meaning I need 10 more white lands. Let's say we play 3 of these and 3 of the red-white one. So now I'm up to 18 lands. I want to add 9 more of these. I definitely want an Otawara. I definitely want a basic mountain. So now I'm up to 20 lands that I'm happy with. I think I'm willing to play like one or 2 more pain lands. It's like maybe 1 Battlefield Forge. I'm not going to play Seachrome Coast, and I think I'm not going to play a Darkar Wastes. So now the question is, how many lands is this? 23. Feels like I'm going to wind up with a lot of basics in my deck. I guess this is a function of not having a tri-land, and also just not needing that much white mana. Although I guess I need more white mana than I've got right now. This is only 11. I would like 3 more white mana sources. What if we had another mountain? How are we looking now? 27. All right, so let's say that's our land base. The one question is, do I have enough double blue? The Secluded Courtyard casts my double blue card. So 4, 12, 16, 18. So that's looking good. I think the red sources are going to be fine. I have 17 plus the 4 Secluded Courtyards. I wanted to count the red sources separately from the Secluded Courtyards because I do want to be able to cast Invasion of Tarkir on turn 2. All right, so now we're going to be looking to add cheap spells so I can stall the game until I get to my dragons. Which, before we do that, let's see if there's any planeswalkers I should be interested in. They would have to be blue, red, or I don't know, maybe a white planeswalker would be interesting. I'm not going to play a double white planeswalker. I don't think I'm interested in any of these blue ones. This card, I think this card's really bad, but I also was interested to see if you could deal damage to battles with it, and you can't. It says damage to players or planeswalkers. There's no way I'm going to have enough mountains for Koth. What's this new Chandra do? It's 6 mana. And it wants you to have lots of instants and sorceries in your deck, so that's not a good one for us. Invasion of New Phyrexia. I could actually look and see if there's any other battles I want to try. I don't think any of these planeswalkers look very good. Can I search for battles? I can. All right. I think there was a red rare battle that does 3 damage to everything. This is just that's a draft filler battle. I think this is the one. Invasion of Kaldheim. No, this is like a looting kind of battle. Invasion of Karsus. 3 damage to each creature and planeswalker. It's too bad it doesn't deal damage to battles. This card, though, I think could make a lot of sense with this deck because all of my creatures except for Fable and the Mirror Breaker are going to have more than 3 toughness. What is the flip side of this? Whenever you cast a spell, deals 2 damage to each opponent. This doesn't seem that good, to be honest. I think that this is just going to be a worse version of the Elder Dragon War. If there's decks where I really want 3 damage, maybe. I also don't really want more 4+ mana cards, or I want them very sparingly. I'll try this in the sideboard, but it doesn't seem that appealing. Don't really want to play battles that require white mana. What's this battle do? It's like an artifact battle, so not for us. Yeah, I don't think I see any other battles that are appealing. I guess I didn't look at the blue ones. All right, let's look at instants and sorceries. And I'm going to ignore the white ones. And I think I can ignore the commons. I guess I could play Slip Out Back. Works good with Manaform Hellkite. Doesn't work with Shivan Devastator. This, I think, is a good sideboard card. Change the equation. So we're going to have some of those in the sideboard. Negate, I think, is just a generally good card. I might want to play some Make Disappears, which I guess I'm not seeing because I took out the commons. Might want to play Disdainful Stroke in my sideboard. In general, when I'm picking these counters, I kind of have a rule that I don't play with counters that can't counter Fable of the Mirror Breaker when I'm on the draw, at least not in my main deck, which is why Make Disappear and Negate are cards that I tend to like. his main deck counters. I haven't done an exhaustive review of the entire spoiler. I kind of more enjoyed just diving in like I'm doing here. But I strongly suspect that nothing is going to change the fact that Fable the Mirror Breaker is one of the best cards in Standard. Like, between that and Rafine, I think they're going to continue to be the best cards. I know there are some red cards I was interested in. I don't think I want to be doing stuff like Blue Sun's Twilight. I could play something like Flame Blessed Bolt, I guess. What's coming in hot do? No, not into that. I'm going to want some cards in my sideboard, if not in my main deck, that can kill Thalia. So it would probably be either Play with Fire or Flame Blessed Bolt. Or Strangle. Strangle's a very solid card. Maybe I should just play Strangles in my main deck. Then we've got Abrade, which is obviously a solid option at 2 mana, but there's a new card. Is it this? No. Is this? No. Oh, Obliterating Bolt's not a bad spell. I don't know that there's a spot where I really want it, though. I don't know the name of this card. It's this. Volcanic Spite. So this is Fire Prophecy, but you can hit battles and planeswalkers. This looks like a pretty good card to me. I'm not that sure that it's better than Abrade, but I wanted to try it. And then there is... it's some Nahiri card that I thought was pretty strong. This card. Nahiri's Warcrafting, so 5 damage, and if you have extra damage, you get cards off the top of your library that you can play that turn. Well, you get 1 card, you get your choice. So I was listening to the Arena Decklist podcast, and they made a good point that if you can curve Invasion of Tarkir to kill their thing, and then just deal 5 damage to your own, to the Invasion of Tarkir, so you get Defiant Thundermaw on turn 3, which is perhaps not... I wouldn't say that's an ideal sequence, but it's actually, that's like a perfectly reasonable thing to do. You're essentially you're converting your Nahiri's Warcrafting into a 3-mana 4/4 flying trample with this ability, which is, that's perfectly fine. I think you want to play this card because it can kill Sheoldred, which is pretty nice. I know there's a new red 1-mana card. Here it is. Lithomantic Barrage. So this is good. It's a sorcery, that's a little bit sad, but this can kill Rafine for 1 mana because you don't have to pay the ward cost because it can't be countered. And it's also just, a 1 mana thing that can kill Thalia, which gets bumped up to 2 mana. It's a little sad that it's sorcery speed, but I still think that it's a pretty good card. So we're going to try some of those. So we got a lot of space in the sideboard. For the first time out with the deck, I don't know that we're really going to be able to construct a great sideboard. And this has also been pretty lengthy deck construction. So leave a comment if you found this to be too much, but you've somehow stuck around. Leave a complaint in the comments. But if you enjoyed it, I could do something like this again. I'm going to definitely play some copies of Elder Dragon War, which I do think is better than Karsus. Elder Dragon. I think I still have a filter set. Elder. All right, Elder Dragon War. We'll play 2 of those into Invasion of Karsus and see if I get into a spot where I'm sideboarding and I have to pick between the 2 of them, which one I prefer. And do I want like a Negate or Spell Pierce? Maybe a Spell Pierce. And we'll play one of those Blue Suns Twilights. Why not? Do I want an anti-graveyard card? Play that Vehicle. I never really like that very much, especially out of blue decks. I think you're better off just trying to counter the thing. Let's just have another Negate. Do I already have 3 in my list? The sideboard. What is this grape? 1 in the deck, I see, and then 1 in my sideboard. That's at 1 more in my sideboard. All right, let's craft this deck. Hop in the queue. Sand is not ideal, but remember, I do have Volcanic Spite, so I'm gonna probably get to, dig for a non-land card at some point. I'm just going to Volcanic Spite this now. Negate's probably going to be really bad against their deck, but I have so many lands in my hand that I think I'm just going to keep it. I definitely want to leave mana up for Make Disappear in case they have a Rafine this turn. Then next turn I'll be able to, if they don't play something I want to Make Disappear, I can just Strangle the Thalia and then have 2 mana for Make Disappear. That I definitely want to Make Disappear. I thought my deck was full of dragons. Where'd all the dragons go? Next turn I need to draw Zurgo and Ojutai. That would be nice. I need them to play Wedding Announcement here. I'm going to negate it. Then I'm going to draw Zurgo and Ojutai, and we'll be doing great. Didn't need them to draw Shieldred. On my list of things that I needed, that was not on it. I might Otawara the Shieldred at the end of their turn. I'm going to let it hit me here, which I am exposing myself. They might use Plaza of Heroes to keep it in play, but I want to potentially negate something. If I can. I maybe should have had some Burn Down the Houses in my sideboard. Be nice to have a sweeper that works against this deck, so it needs to deal 5 damage or kill everything. But I don't want to have the double white sweepers in my deck because even though I drew a ton of white mana this game, my mana base is not actually suited to casting double white sorceries. Why are they cycling in response? Oh, to gain life, okay. That Shieldred's going to be a massive problem. Or not. All right, so I do need here to go after the Skrelv, because obviously the Scroll would prevent me from warcrafting the Shieldred. And I can play my Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Wow, things have kind of turned around. Maybe I shouldn't have attacked there. It was like it was almost to the point that I wanted to have the thing to block. Well, I didn't even really think that they might have another Eiganjo. I need another spell. The Plaza of Harmonies are going to be rough. This is one of the problems with the standard, just that it's so hard to win if your opponent has Shieldred in play and you're just playing it like a normal creature deck. Right. And a removal spell. I'm kind of doing something. I'm digging my way out of this. Exile card this turn. So I can't use it. Very sad. I need to draw Kairi off the top of my deck, or Secluded Courtyard. So I think the Lithomantic Barrages are good here. And maybe I'll try Blue Sun's Twilight. I don't think I want either of these sweepers. I think the sweeper I would want here would be Burn Down the House. I definitely don't need Negate. Maybe I'll take out the Shivan Devastators. This is definitely not a matchup where I need to race. I think it's all about just board presence, and this guy's not a very efficient board presence. This guy's better in matchups where you want a hasty threat to take out a Planeswalker, or really just want any threat. And this card's not appropriate for this matchup. Well, I have mismatched negates. Nice. This is not enough land. This is more than enough land. Guess I'm just going to strangle that. That's why I do save to make disappear for like Shieldred or whatever 5-drop they might have. But we got some real problems going on here. I don't know, this is the kind of problem that Manaform Hellkite is going to save me from. Please don't be able to kill the Manaform Hellkite. Hey, it's Dennis. Yeah, all that wasn't great for me. So next turn I'm going to be able to, if my Manaform Hellkite lives, Invasion of Tarkir the Skrell, send the Manaform Hellkite and the Illusion at the battle. Let's flip it so I have Defiant Thundermaw. They definitely should have attacked with this other 1/1. This seems like a dead giveaway that they don't have anything that makes blocking with the Manaform Hellkite bad. I was going to block with it anyway, but if they had like another Eiganjo in their hand, they certainly would have attacked with their token. Okay. I guess I should start by Warcrafting the Adeline, because I think I'm going to do that for sure. This is good. And I guess I should take it, but should I play it over the Invasion of Tarkir that I was going to flip this turn? Yes. And I think I'm going to ditch, make disappear. If this was a regular land rather than an Otawara, I would have ditched a regular land. Please don't play Sheoldred. I think I beat a lot of cards that aren't Sheoldred here. Oh, it's Sheoldred. Nice. I was hoping to have to face you. I guess I might be able to get out of this. So we're gonna reveal a dragon card. Suffer, Dennis. You know what? Flip our Invasion of Tarkir. And Otawara Sheoldred. So now if they play Sheoldred, doesn't it just dies to the Defiant Thundermaw triggers. That's pretty awesome. Oh. They're just dead on board. Whoops. All right. Got a win. Maybe I should have a card like Valorous Stance in my sideboard for this matchup, although that cuts into the try not to play white mana cards thing. I could maybe cut a Secluded Courtyard for an Eiganjo and then cut another Secluded Courtyard for maybe a white-blue dual land. I don't think I have 4 Deserted Beaches yet. And then I could have a Valorous Stance or 2 in my sideboard. I think Valorous Stance is the right one because I do care about potentially protecting my dragons. Go ahead and strangle this. And then next turn, I should be able to Invasion of Tarkir, whatever they play, except not Thalia, obviously. Razor Lash Transmogrant. I want to kill that. think I'm going to wait a turn. I might want to play Make Disappear. I want to Refine. I don't think I would do the Warcrafting play, where I Warcraft my own battle on turn 3 necessarily. And if I had a fourth land, I could just wait. Or if I had another dragon, I could just wait as well. I'm going to let this thing hit me one more time. So if I draw a land, I can play Invasion of Tarkir and have Make Disappear. If I draw another dragon, I'll be guaranteed that I can Invasion of Tarkir or Refine or an Adeline, because I would have enough to do 4 damage. Yeah. Just going to try to find a land, which should be pretty easy to be successful at, since I'm overflowing by 4 damage. And I have Nahiri's Warcrafting backup in case they play a Sheoldred. If not, I'm obviously just going to Zurgo and Ojutai them. Which... Oh, combat damage to a player or battle, so I can freely attack the Invasion of Tarkir. I think that's worth doing. These battles, it's going to take a little bit of playing with to get used to, you know, when you should go for the battle versus just dealing damage to people's face. But with this particular card, it takes 5 damage to flip, but assuming you flip it, you get something that's going to attack for 6 damage the next turn. So you don't, like, if you consider 2 attacks from Zurgo and Ojutai versus an attack from Zurgo and Ojutai, and I guess you need like 2 extra damage. So I say I attack twice with this and deal 2 damage to my opponent with Invasion of Tarkir, which is that even a legal play? I think it is. You know what? I'm going to just take this Refine. But getting back to my point, you catch up on the damage you missed with Invasion of Tarkir very quickly, which is nice. Do I want another Invasion of Tarkir or an Atsushi? Maybe just Atsushi. I already have so many other things that deal damage. Could I have flipped this and returned it, or is it only ones that dealt damage? One... I think it's one. It has to be one of the ones that attacked. I'm not even going to let them know that I still have that Atsushi in my hand. They might have been able to figure it out, but they might not have been able to. Definitely want to land to cast the Atsushi. I don't think I want to keep my spells other than that. Zurgo and Ojutai really gets out of hand pretty quickly. Alright, we got a match in the books, and it was against a real deck. Alright, so what did we learn from that matchup? I thought the main deck was fine. I think that I would have liked to have Valorous Stance or a card like Valorous Stance in my sideboard, which I think the other option is Destroy Evil. So let's do a search for 4 or greater. That didn't work. Let's put it in quotes. I think my options are Destroy Evil, Valorous Stance. What's this card? It's 3 mana. No, thank you. So I think in that particular matchup, which is where I want this card, they're not likely to have enchantments. So I think that being able to protect my own dragon from Go for the Throat is good. I know I cast Blue Sun's Twilight to good effect that game, but I think against an opponent who is making their land drops, Blue Sun's Twilight would not actually be very good in that matchup. So let's try to make room for 2 Valorous Stances in the sideboard. I don't think I need as many negates as I've added to my sideboard. Also, I'm confused. I had 4 after sideboarding. Is one of them on the bottom? I thought it said I had access to 4 last match, but I do not see 4. All right, that's a decent tweak. But I think we need to change the mana base a little bit to make that white sideboard card a little bit more castable. So right now I've got 10 sources of white that can cast it. Plus there's always the treasure from Fable and Mirror Breaker, but still I think I would like to have 2 more. So in order to get 2 more, I think an Eiganjo is an easy addition. And then I guess I'm on a Darker Wastes or Battlefield Forge at that point, which 7 Painlands is a lot. Should I be greedy and just play the one Eiganjo and that's it? The one Eiganjo, it does get a lot better if I put additional white lands in my deck. I can play 1 Seachrome Coast. I was avoiding the Seachrome Coasts because this is a deck where, you know, you want your lands to come into play untapped on turns 4, 5, and 6. So I don't want to have a ton of this stuff, but a little bit of it's probably fine. I guess the other thing was the Shivan Devastator. I think I would like a better card than Shivan Devastator. Are there really no dragon options in my colors? For 3 or less mana. I'm not going to play Kyodai. I continue to think Smoldering Egg is not a good idea. Would this be an okay card? I really don't think so. Yeah, all right, let's play another match. I'll keep this. I've got the Volcanic Spite to help dig me to blue mana. Green, black, and white. Oh, this is going to be like a 5-color invasion deck, I think. Cards in my hand are probably not very good against what they're attempting to do. All the blue counters on my sideboard are probably pretty good, though. Come on, no counter, no. Sheoldred's Edict would be bad as well. They've made that guy disappear. Lame. That's a Contagious Warak. They whiffed. Nice. I still have red mana. So I'm gonna... Should I spite this or should I Warcrafting it? If I Warcrafting it, a lot of the things I'd want to cast cost 4, so... not quite enough mana to do that. Like they didn't get a mountain. Are they not a 5-color deck? They aren't even the right colors to cast Atraxa yet. Or are they? We'll find out. Okay. I'll go digging for Fable the Mirror Breaker, please. I guess I just want to land. Can't Warcrafting them, sadly. I wonder why they keep getting priority. Oh, they probably just have another one of these things to cycle. Didn't enjoy that. So I can't hit battles with Strangle. I don't think I want to just Invasion of Tarkir this and then Warcrafting it and just have a 4/4. I think I want to dig for cards more. It's so much better for me if I just find Fable of the Mirror Breaker so I can convert these Strangles into something that does something. I failed at my goal. Guess I'm going to have to devastate them for 3. Could be worse, I suppose. All in all, it's a pretty unimpressive turn, though. Oh, they are the right colors for Atraxa. Okay. Yeah, that's not going to be good for me. I can kill it, but... Oh, I can't even... I need to draw a dragon in order to be able to kill it because the wedding announcement's about to flip. So they're just like an Atraxa control deck that's probably not trying to reanimate it. Is there any way I'm going to get out of this? No. So I don't have anything in my deck that hits enchantments. That could be a mistake. That said, obviously Strangle was awful. I think probably Volcanic Spite was pretty bad too. And I think I want my Disdainful Strokes, my Negates. Is Change the Equation good? Doesn't counter Atraxa. Counters their green spells, but that's not really what I was that worried about. It'd be nice if one of these was another Disdainful Stroke or Negate. So I guess I'm just going to board in Valor Stances. Elder Dragon War might be fine against Wedding Announcement and Wandering Emperor. It's kind of nice. Is that better than Shivan Devastator or better than Manaform Hellkite? I think it might be better than Manaform Hellkite. Kairi does not look like it lines up very well against Atraxa. Now that I'm envisioning how the game's going to play out. Drew my Seachrome Coast. Don't think I want to just deal 3 damage to them. I could just deal 8 damage next turn. Maybe I should have a card like the Bankbuster in my sideboard. It would be good in these matchups where I'm trying to just board in a bunch of counters. Guess I'll take the Devastator, and I'm going to leave this in play. I don't think that I'm in good enough shape that I should just be bouncing this to try to keep it safe from sorcery speed removal. They also have Leyline Binding, which just has Flash. And it's not like I have enough mana to play Zurgo and protect it with Negate from a Leyline Binding. Hopefully they just have Depopulate here. Yeah, Leyline Binding, okay. Didn't enjoy it. I think their life total is too high. It's not worth playing this thing on 2 and trying to sit on Negate. Need to hope that they don't have stuff to do that kills the Shivan Devastator. They've laid down arms on it. Alright. Come on, land. Trying to draw a land. That's not a land. It's not bad, though. Yes, I'll protect that. I do have the Valor stance that if they make a 1/1 with the Bankbuster and then crew the other Bankbuster, I can Valor stance it. So this thing is probably going to get to attack safely. Or it's going to be ossified. Lame. I need some way to destroy enchantments. Is there like a Tranquility kind of card I could be playing? Maybe I should have looted harder to try to find my 6th land. The 6th land was going to be great, but the 7th land is completely useless. And I feel like I'm going to run out of spells this game. If I convert too many of my spells into lands by looting. It seems like I'm just not going to win, though. Sure. Not a problem at all. I do have the Valor stance, so it's not completely unbeatable. Assuming they can't put it back in play. Wow, they whiffed pretty hard, too. If they don't have a Wrath or another Atraxa, I might be able to do something. Are these Dragon Illusions? They are. So that's really powerful with Defiant Thundermaw. If I get to have this whole setup in play. Where I can... I guess it's just Manaform Hellkite plus Defiant Thundermaw. If I have other spells to cast, the Defiant Thundermaw goes crazy. I don't need the Reflection of Kiki Jiki here, although it helps. Alright, they're having to draw a card, which makes me feel like it's more likely the Spell Pierce does something. They're just dead. They're dead by like 1,000,000 this turn. That might not have even been the right one to copy. So one thing I'm realizing is I wish, like, one of the Volcanic Spites was an Abrade. So I could have Abrade in my deck. Also, Manaform Hellkite was actually kind of good that game. I think Atsushi is probably pretty bad if their removal is Ossification and Leyline Binding. Guess I'll leave it like this. Maybe I just want a cheaper card than Kairi. Guess I should leave up Spell Pierce in case they have Bank Buster. Doesn't mean I'm not going to have access to Negate for turn 2, but if they hadn't played something for me to Spell Pierce on turn 2, I would be able to Spell Pierce their turn 3 play potentially. Do I want to just devastate them for 2? Would that be that devastating? Yes. Kind of a sad use of a card. But I do have this Negate that I can start sitting behind if this isn't dealt with. Hopefully I draw some lands. It is nice that these Invasion of Tarkirs can just go to your opponent's face. So I do have the ability to just kind of finish my opponent off if I'm just sitting here with a grip full of cards. Oh man, the Seachrome Coast not looking so hot here. Because I would have, if I'd drawn an untapped land, I think I would have played Manaform Hellkite. I don't think I'm hitting them hard enough yet that I should try to play slow against them having a bank buster. I really wish there was a better card than the Shivan Devastator. I want to negate that, I guess. I think if I let this resolve, I'm definitely playing Manaform Hellkite on my next turn. I think even if they hadn't cast it, I was still going to play Manaform Hellkite because, like I said, I'm not dealing damage fast enough right now to just sit back and do nothing. All right, I drew a different card other than Manaform Hellkite that I'm going to play, but it's functionally the same. Nope, it's not functionally the same. They have Negate in their deck. That new blue counter change the equation would be good against my deck. Opponent just may not have it in their deck yet, or may not think it's good. We don't really know. Guess they could have make disappear as a counter here as well. Disdainful Stroke. I didn't enjoy it. I want to keep them off of drawing a card with the wedding announcement. It's going to be hard enough to beat the extra cards from the bank buster. They're still playing lands though, so they're up a bunch of cards, but a lot of them are just extra lands. Lay down arms. Okay. Would be so much nicer if it was just a dragon. Tarkir's invading itself. Guess I'm going to Valor Stance the Bank Buster. It does hit really hard. Kill this. Hope they just have nothing and I top deck Zurgo. Wonder if I should just have 4 Zurgos. Oh no, I don't think I'm beating that. No, I know I'm not beating that. Destroy Evil would have been better than Valorous Stance in this matchup. I don't know that this is a deck that I should be preparing myself to defeat, though. I think that probably spells the end. The second copy of Invasion of Tarkir that all it did was 2 damage to a previous copy of Invasion of Tarkir that didn't flip really was not worth a card. That was too many lands in a row. All right, 1-1 in matches, which I'm gonna make final revisions to this deck and then call it a video. I think that I wanted an Abrade over a Volcanic Spite just to have a little bit more diversity, and I think Abrade's a card I can have in my deck in some different matchups. Volcanic Spite did seem pretty good. I think Zurgo and Ojutai is probably good enough that it should just be a 4 of. I basically wanted to draw this every turn after I got to 5 mana. And I think that if your opponent's not killing your Zurgo and Ojutai, it's not going to be a big deal that you've got an extra card in your hand that's not doing anything, because this should be finding you other spells to cast. So I think that is an upgrade. I wanted to have, I think, what's the best counter to have here? I don't think I want so many change the equations. Another Negate would have been nice in that matchup, but I think Disdainful Stroke also would have been really good. Disdainful Stroke's not great against Wedding Announcement / Fable of the Mirror Breaker. But I do need a way to stop Atraxa. Are there 3 mana counters I should be considering? Certainly not in white. Don't think I want to give my opponent free treasures. This card might be worth having in the sideboard. It might have been okay that match. This card, it's just cancel, so that's not good enough. Artifact or enchantment? No. Essence capture? No. Disruption protocol. This is very, very slightly better than cancel, because I could have tap a treasure rather than sack a treasure, but that's certainly not an important distinction. Essence scatter. That's a little bit interesting. It can hit Atraxa. It wouldn't be able to hit anything else against that Atraxa deck, but if I wanted a counter that also worked against Sheoldreds, maybe. It's weird that nobody plays Malevolent Hermit anymore. That card seems so good when it came out. Probably never going to have enough creatures for that to be a good card. This is maybe a better anti-Atraxa card because it also hits Reckoner Bankbuster. Still seems kind of unimpressive. If I'm going to move up to a 3 mana counter, it's going to have to be something pretty special. Yeah, these are, if we're making a list of cards that are pretty special, none of these are going to be on it. I think just another Disdainful Stroke. It's the plan against Atraxa, just a lot of Disdainful Strokes. So I think I'm going to leave the list in this state. Certainly not like final form top deck state, but I do think that this is a reasonable starting point. There's no way that it's right to have 2 Invasion of Karsuses and 2 Elder Dragon Wars in the sideboard. So I could see, I didn't get to play any matches where I had to decide whether, like, which of these 2 was better. That is something you would have to decide once you know what kind of decks you want to beat. And then once you've done that, I think you could easily cut 1 or 2 copies of whichever one you didn't like from the sideboard for cards for other matchups. Like maybe a Burn Down the House would be good. Maybe just, you know, more counters or more lithomatic barrages, or maybe a Destroy Evil would be good. Maybe a split of Destroy Evil and Valorous Stance would be good. There's still a lot of different things to try. Also, I guess I could have tried maybe a different assortment of dragons. I don't know that. I guess you could do Jund dragons, where you're playing the 6 mana guy that sacks to make treasures. That doesn't seem to make a ton of sense to me, though. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video, and I will be back probably tomorrow with another new deck idea. So subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you then.